Welcome to the Biz Easy podcast, where small business is simplified for greater results. Brought to you by Resources and Development. Go to www.resources-development.com for help in taking your business to the next level. And now, help me welcome the host of the Biz Easy podcast, Steve McCrillis.
Welcome to the Biz Easy podcast, coming to you from America's small business capital, recorded right here in Middle Tennessee, while reaching across all cities in this great nation of ours. Biz Easy, your resource to help take your business to the next level. Also, stay tuned to learn how you get your free gift and Biz Easy business tool at the end of this podcast. My name is Steve, your host, as we all learn how to stay better focused on the things that make your business great. Don't forget our new book available on Amazon. Isn't it time your business becomes Biz Easy? If you enjoy the podcast, you will love the book. In fact, I had a person buy the book and mentioned to me that they enjoyed the fact that they could read it chapter by chapter in little snippets and really be able to absorb it. Thank you, reader. Now, I'd like you to introduce you to my partner and our resident guru of coaching, our lead business coach, my fellow author, Skip Williams.
Hey, Steve, how are you doing?
I am great, but I understand that you've been sick the last few days.
Yeah, I have been, but it's weird. I've only been sick on weekdays. Oh, the doctor tells me I must have a weekend immune system.
I like the literal use of that. I like that. Okay, so Skip, what in the world are we talking about today? I hear that it's something about quality.
It is, but it's not. Quality. There's a lot of misunderstandings about it, and it's not always what you think.
Okay.
We often think of like handmade luxury goods as high quality, but I would argue that the more automated processes create consistency, and therefore each part is more perfect. Could you imagine building an aircraft engine by hand without using the machine tools and CNC technology? We also think of quality, that quality refers to the product or service that we sell. But I would also argue that we must seek quality control throughout the entire organization. After all, $1 waste in the accounting department is just as important as $1 waste on the assembly line. And then lastly, we often think that we can get everyone to be more careful, inspect every part that comes off the line to attain high quality. But I'd argue that is waste unto itself.
Back in the day when I finished my my first graduate certificate, my second one was Total Quality Management, TQM, as you know, Deming. Ooh, there's a blast from the past. He didn't find any sort of interest in total quality management here in this country in the 50s and 60s. So He took it to Japan, and what did they end up doing? Remember Beta?
Beating our butts.
VHS?
Yeah, they were kicking our butts in the industrial world through the 80s and part of the 90s as well, and much of the 70s. Yeah.
And when you identify quality as perhaps a process, perhaps something else, well, that obviously opens my eyes a little bit. It's not about just the Prada purse or the Gucci purse. It's something altogether different. Move on. Let's go.
Right. Okay. Well, a long time ago, I was tasked with vendor quality assurance for a large company. When parts would arrive at the loading dock, quality checks were made, and when parts didn't meet our standards, I was tasked with traveling to that vendor to figure out what went wrong. My job was to understand their processes from start to finish by lunchtime, and then solve the problem of the process by supper time.
Okay.
It was a great job, really fun. Once the problem was identified, the vendor would invariably say, "Hey, well, we'll be more careful in the future, and we'll add an additional inspection to make sure you never get bad parts again." To which I would ask, "Doesn't that make your part more expensive to produce?" And they would admit that it did, but that they were willing to do it because our business was so important to them.
Wow, that is critical. That is critical that they took that very important step. Back in the 80s, in the 90s, you remember Harley Davidson almost went bankrupt.
Right.
They really founded a TQ process, inspecting every part to ensure that quality and essentially begets a quality product. And that essentially turned that company around. Many people don't know that that's essentially what did it, because those were rattle traps. They leaked oil. They did everything weird. So
Back in the AMC days, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, AMC. I think it was AMC. Anyway, I, my whole point though was that just inspecting quality and trying to be more careful and taking your time, you're making your product more expensive, and you're still not guaranteeing that parts coming off the end aren't going to be bad and have to be thrown away.
Yeah.
So the discussion always took me to my favorite question: what if we could change the process so that it would be impossible to make this mistake? Rather than putting a band-aid on the problem, why don't we fix the problem with real corrective action so that my company is assured that we always get good parts and your company can frankly make more money?
Sure.
And that's the approach that we must all take with every process within our company. When a mistake is made, we stop and ask why this happened and what we can do to solve this problem so that it never comes up again. For it's not a sin to make a mistake, but it is a sin to repeat them.
Well, that's a very important point to make, because I always talk about the three things involving a problem. Number one, what is the problem? Number two, how are we going to solve the problem? Number three, exactly what are we going to do to ensure the problem doesn't come up again and again and again?
Right. And just on a side note, making sure that employees are okay bringing problems or mistakes that they've made to you, that you're not beating them up for them. You work with them shoulder to shoulder to fix the problem again, take corrective action so that so the mistake is not repeatable.
Yep.
Quality control is a very important aspect of any business. It ensures that the products and the services that we deliver meet the expectations and the standards of the customer or the clients. Quality control involves testing, inspecting, and evaluating the quality of various factors involved in the production process, such as raw materials, components, processes, and final products. Quality control also helps to identify and correct any defects or errors that may occur during the production process.
I think it's important to mention that this is not just for one person. This is an all hands on deck type of a process. Everybody looks for how we can improve. Now, I've seen great leadership seminars where one of the key facts was, or key features was, everybody has to participate in making this better. And there's no stupid questions, only stupid mistakes. You've heard that. So volunteer it. How can you make your process departmentally better to ensure that the next one? Now, it's easy to look at every other department and whatever someone else is doing and say, well, you could do this or you should do that. But it's a lot of work. We're not going to argue. It's a lot of work. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, it should be part of the company culture that we want to be better today than we were yesterday. And we should always be striving for incremental improvement, major improvement if you can get it, but at least incremental improvement every day.
So what are the methods and techniques for quality control?
All right. Well, statistical quality control, this method uses statistical tools and techniques to analyze the data and monitor the quality of the product, process, or product. SQC helps detect any variations or trends in the data that may indicate a problem or an opportunity for improvement. SQC also helps set limits and specifications for the quality of a product. So, just to kind of recap that, if we create an upper limit and a lower limit, and we start measuring things that come off the line, over time we can start predicting when our machine is going to go out of whack, or when the bit is no longer going to be sharp enough to do the job, or when an adjustment needs to be made. We can predict those, so we can figure out that every 250 units we need to give this control a quarter turn or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it can really help us keep our tolerances in control.
Right.
The Taguchi method is a method based on principles of quality engineering and focusing on optimizing the performance and the reliability of the product and or the process. Taguchi method uses a systematic approach to design experiments, collect data, analyze results, implement improvements, and the Taguchi method also considers both customer satisfaction as well as cost effectiveness as critical criteria for improvements. So we should be looking for things that help improve our process, but also delivers something of greater value to the customer to create a win-win out of it.
Sure.
Lean principles. Lean principles are based on the idea of maximizing customer value while minimizing waste. Lean principles identify 7 types of waste: inventory, motion, processing, overproduction, waiting, transportation, and defects. Lean principles aim to eliminate these wastes by applying various tools and techniques such as value stream mapping, 5S methodology, Kaizen, Kanban, Poka-yoke, etc. Methods. So uh, uh, this is a really good example of what we're talking about: mistakes in accounting or inefficiencies in the human resources department. These principles can be, of eliminating waste will help those departments run more efficiently and make less mistakes.
Let me interject with a quick story that I used to tell clients all the time. There was a company way back in the day. This goes back to the 40s, and it was a very prominent company, probably by today's standard, a Fortune 5 company. Everybody knew the name, everybody knew what they did, but their ambition was to be everything to everybody, for cars, for home, for it was an entertainment system essentially. Well, they fell out of favor because they were replaced by many other foreign brands. Well, in the course of that whole thing, they were familiar with the Baldrige Award. You're familiar with the Baldrige Award for quality. Okay, so the idea is how many parts per million you can come up with without a defect, and they essentially employed many of the things that you just talked about. Well, this company almost went to obscurity, but they reignited themselves as a prominent leader when they made those little pagers. Remember those things?
Mm-hmm.
And do you know how many parts per million in defects they came up with in order to win the Baldrige Award?
I don't know.
Now,
I'm sure
parts per million.
Yeah. I have no idea. 3 parts per million. Wow.
Imagine 3 in defects, 3 parts per million. The name of this company, Motorola.
There you go.
You want to talk about a company? Now, we normally have story time. We talk about that. That's not who we are going to talk about, but nevertheless, it's a company that really embraced that notion of let's make sure that every little part comes together to make a product that has so little defects in 3 parts per million. And they weren't producing more than several million at a time. So good for Motorola.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah. I mean, your scrap rates go down, your rework rates go down, your throughput times go down. It's just amazing that if you pay attention to quality here, especially through lean principles of waste, eliminating waste, you can reduce your cost out the door for your product or service, and deliver a better product to your customer at a cheaper cost for you.
I think the next one that you're about to talk about is something that people have heard of, but perhaps not really know what it means.
Yeah, Sigma 6 is a data-driven approach that focuses on improving quality and reliability of a process or product by reducing variation and defects. Six Sigma uses statistical tools and techniques to analyze and monitor performance. Six Sigma also follows a structured methodology called DMAC: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control, to identify problems and, more importantly, implement solutions. So yeah, it's kind of harkens back to the SQC, the statistical quality control, but using it to help you figure out solutions, implement solutions.
Yeah.
And then just in time is a production system that aims to deliver products and services only when they're needed by the customers or the clients. Just in time reduces inventory costs and waste by synchronizing production with demand. Just in time also requires close coordination and communication between suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, and customers.
Well, JIT is really utilized by so many companies. In fact, even in the publishing company, they have to decide exactly how many they're going to produce that they know that they will sell of a particular book or whatever the case. So, you don't want to have too much reprint because it costs more to reprint. But on the other hand, you want to have enough on stock, but you always have that balance. So how much should you have? The problem with most companies in the past without JIT, just in time, is I ended up with so much extra parts for a product that became obsolete or for a product that was updated. So how much inventory do you want of something that you know is going to be obsolete other than to have some random guy who's collecting buy it on eBay, right?
Inventory is evil, is what we were always taught. You don't want to you don't want to have it because, like you say, the product could be in finished goods. You could have hundreds of them ready to ship, and all of a sudden the technology changes, and all you've got is a warehouse full of scrap. Excuse me. But what I want to draw attention to, which is not usually talked about, JIT is often talked about in supply chain, but
Right.
it's not talked an awful lot about about JIT in the production process, the step by step progressive manufacturing. And what the beauty of that is, if I do step one to the widget and I then hand it to you for step two, what traditionally has been done is I'll make hundreds of them and I'll hand hundreds of them to you to do the second stage on it. But with JIT, the beauty of it is I can do step one and hand it directly to you to do step two, and you find that I'm doing something wrong. We've got scrap of one.
Yeah.
We got, as opposed to a scrap of hundreds.
Yeah.
If you waited until I handed you the whole 100 of them, we'd have a whole shelf full of scrap.
Right.
So it really does eliminate rework and waste by doing it based on demand. And if we can synchronize our processes, our workflow, as well as our supply chain with the demand of the customer, then we're never producing something that isn't, more or less sold already, and we're never producing something that's going to end up being scrap.
Well, quality control and elimination of waste can benefit business in many ways. Highlight some of those.
All right. It'll help improve your customer satisfaction and loyalty. You'll be increasing productivity and efficiency. You'll be reducing costs and expenses. You'll be enhancing innovation and competitiveness, and improving employee morale and motivation, because nobody likes to work on scrap.
Sure.
Quality control is not only beneficial for the business, but also for the customers and the clients who want to receive high quality products or services that meet their needs and expectations. Quality control can also enhance customer loyalty and satisfaction, trust, and reputation for the business.
Well, it's not only for production lines. It's ultimately for any kind of business, depending on what they're doing. I think that you'd agree with that. I think that as you move on, you talk more about it's not just for manufacturing. I think
That's right. That's right. I would encourage you to use it in every business. In fact, you brought up the Malcolm Baldrige Award. It's funny to me that there's probably more restaurants and hospitality businesses in the U.S. earning the Malcolm Baldrige Award these days than there are manufacturing companies.
Yeah.
So, well, these principles were developed on production lines around the world. They can be used throughout any business, whether a financial institution, internet company, service organization, and even nonprofit companies.
Yeah.
So I'll leave you with a few truisms about quality.
Now, these are Skip's truisms about quality.
That's true. These are from my own heart. The further down the process a mistake is found, the more exponentially expensive it becomes.
Sure.
If you cannot inspect quality into a product or process, the best you can do is weed out a few of the bad ones. So inspecting is not the answer. Make every job idiot proof, or skip proof if you prefer. Make it so easy that even I would find it difficult to make a mistake. Quality is everyone's job in every department. Effective quality assurance can save company more money than the value of the product they produce. Quality is about consistency, not how posh something is. I would submit that old Toyotas have more miles than old Rolls Royces. Productivity, elimination of waste, and quality control are all directly related to profit.
I think in identifying these truisms, you can recognize that it isn't just for manufacturing, it's for everything that goes on. I know that I've been involved greatly and deeply in operational control and also operational creation, operational workflow. What is the best way that we could do this to ensure that we're going to get the most optimal result? And that typically comes from somebody new on the job that you've appointed to do it. Now, it's management by objective, right? This is what we want to have as the outcome. If there is a better way to do that, a better mousetrap, if you will, hey, I'm all for it. As long as you don't compromise the outcome of the process, compromise the outcome of the product, compromise another department. Now, you can shortcut. Let's not confuse it with shortcutting, right? But the objective is everybody, and not departmentally, everybody is focused on the quality output of the product. Now, harken back to Harley Davidson, and I did part of an internship there while they were going through this, and it was just fascinating because they were all vested in the product, which I found to be very encouraging.
That's right. That's right. I mean, Ford brought these principles to Jaguar when they bought Jaguar for a while. Same sort of thing. But I just really want to drive one point that I've said a couple times in the article home and make sure everybody understands. Inspection is not the answer. Inspection can tell you have a problem, but you want to fix the problem so that you're not making defects. If your product is a toy or something that life and death doesn't hang on, if you can get your defect rates down low enough, you don't have to ever do another inspection forever. If you're making, medical equipment, you might want to continue to do that. But nonetheless, inspection is not the answer. Inspection doesn't eliminate waste; it catches waste.
Well, let's face it. The best inspectors of anybody's product is the consumer, right?
Right.
and they essentially vote for their dollar. And in fact, the story that we're going to present today is about a restaurant. And so when you talk about process, when you talk about product, garbage in, garbage out, I think that this sort of highlights how quality does make a difference. In fact, I think now is a good time. Let's play it and see how Carlo fixed his quality problem.
Here we go.
Let me share a true story about how a business owner turned the quality of their products around, ultimately saving their company. In the early 2000s, a small family-owned restaurant in a bustling urban neighborhood was struggling to stay afloat. The restaurant had been in business for over 2 decades, known for its traditional Italian cuisine and warm atmosphere. However, in recent years, declining sales and negative reviews about the quality of the food had put the future of the restaurant in jeopardy. The owner, Carlo, had inherited the business from his parents and was deeply passionate about preserving their legacy. Determined to turn things around, Carlo took a hard look at the restaurant's operations and identified the root cause of the problem: inconsistency in the quality of the food. Carlo made a bold decision to invest in high-quality ingredients sourced from local suppliers, known for their freshness and authenticity, and he hired a renowned Italian chef to revamp the menu and train the kitchen staff. The transformation was palpable. Customers noticed the difference immediately. Dishes were bursting with flavor, pasta cooked to perfection, and presentation impeccable. Word spread quickly and soon, and became known not only for its warm ambiance, but also for its outstanding cuisine. Carlo didn't stop there. He also focused on improving customer service, ensuring that every guest was treated with attentive care throughout their dining experience. He encouraged feedback and actively listened to customers' suggestions, continuously refining the menu based on their preferences. As a result of Carlo's unwavering commitment to quality and customer satisfaction, the company Taste of Italy experienced a remarkable turnaround. Sales began to climb, and the restaurant regained its status as a beloved neighborhood gem. Carlo's dedication not only saved the business, but also propelled it to new heights of success. This true story exemplifies how a business owner's determination to prioritize quality and customer satisfaction can lead to the revival of a struggling company. By investing in the core elements that define their brand, Carlo not only saved Taste of Italy, but also secured its place as a cherished establishment in the community.
I think it's important to note that Carlo did take the time to figure out what it was, and he was not unwilling to leave us any stone unturned. He did what he could. He knew what the issue was, and he focused on that, and he drove and drove. Now I got to imagine his restaurant didn't turn over overnight, because every time you have a dissatisfied customer, I was told once you lose 27, but every time you satisfy one customer, you gain one. Now you look at those odds, and you're bound and determined to make some changes. Would you agree?
Right. It's it is a good example of how you can use this to enhance customer satisfaction, that it isn't just for manufacturing and so forth. But it also is a good example of how one man's dogged determination can change the whole brand, the perception of the brand of a company, by just implementing efforts and applying Pareto principles and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again for the blog, Skip, and the introduction to the test case, or our story time. We did promise a free gift at the end of this podcast. Skip, let's show everybody what they get to have today.
Let's roll it.
Fun. Well, this week's free gift is our Mean Time Between Failures business tool. This tool is designed to track the average time between failures. Now, this applies to equipment, building maintenance, vehicle maintenance, and even IT maintenance. Now, what Skip's going to do is show you around the tool for just a sec.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to make this tool available to you. We've talked about MTBF in the past, mean time between failures. Well, this spreadsheet will make it really easy. So we start here on the uptime tab on the spreadsheet, and just fill in information in white boxes. And that's true with all the spreadsheets I build. So here we just need to create the systems that we're going to track. So if we're having a problem with a particular motor on a piece of equipment, we will put that in here. These are the things that we're going to log and keep track of. From there on, once the systems are in, it's really easy. You pick the system that you want from the drop down. You put in the time and date of the failure and the time and date of the when it's back online. You do that. It doesn't make any difference what order. Just make sure you pick the right systems, and you log each one of these. And over time, we'll start to get some information that will tell us about that particular piece of equipment. So you can see I've got the truck 3 front brakes here. We can see when it was last repaired. We can see what its average uptime is. We can see how many days between failure, and we can see how long it takes us to get it repaired. We can even and we can predict the next failure. The amount of failures that have been logged so far is 2. And the higher this number, the more confidence that we can have in these predictions. Predictive spreadsheets that can be fun to use and really helpful for your business. One last note before I leave the spreadsheet is, as these times and dates draw close to the time of failure, it will color code them as you see up here by the legend: entered failure zone, past the mean time to failure, or beyond predicted failure. With the spreadsheet comes a PDF manual for you, instructions manual. It'll show you how to use it. And there you can see those color codes that I talked about before in the picture. It'll tell you what to do as far as loading up the systems and logging the failures, and then how the dashboard will work. So Steve, that's the MTBF software. We call it Uptime. It should make MTBF really easy for everybody.
Excellent. Now, as Skip had mentioned, it does come with a user's manual and all the instructions you need for inputting, understanding, and being able to use it to track your systems and system failures. Now, you can always reach out to us at resources-development.com, and our email information is in there. You can reach out. We'll walk you through it. Pick a time where we can walk you through it at your leisure. Now, we hope this tool helps make your business a little more predictable and a little bit more profitable. And the way to get your copy of the Uptime for free is to go to the podcast page at resourcesdevelopment.com, as he's put on the screen, and use the coupon code Easy MTBF. That's EASYMTBF to get yours absolutely free. Our gift to help your life is easier.
I hope it helps everybody. Thanks so much.
Well, Skip, that's it for today. And I want to say, but before we start our podcast today, I was a little dubious about the outcome because I don't know. The talk about quality, talk about improvement can get tedious, but I think it was enlightening enough to realize that it takes little things to make great things happen. And every company can look at that and improve in some way. So with that, I'm going to say, shall we wrap it up?
All right. That's a wrap. Woo!
Thanks for listening to today's BizEasy podcast. If you enjoyed our broadcast, we would kindly ask you to like, subscribe, and share with other entrepreneurs. See you next time on the BizEasy podcast, where business is simplified for greater results.